Hey guys, I'm going to help you out with lesson 14's homework. We got some word problems to work. Let's go ahead and look at number 1. It says Molly baked a pie for 1 hour and 45 minutes. Then she baked banana bread for 35 minutes less than the pie. How many minutes did it take to bake the pie and the bread? Okay, so if the pie was 1 hour and 45 minutes and the bread was 35 minutes less, we're going to have to figure out the bread and then add it to the pie because the question says how many minutes did it take to bake the pie and the bread. Well, the pie is 1 hour and 45 minutes. The banana bread was 35 minutes less. So I'm going to take 1 hour and 45 minutes and then I'm subtract 35 minutes to figure out what banana bread was. When I do that, I just subtract the minutes. 45 minutes minus 35 minutes is 10 minutes. So the banana bread took 1 hour and 10 minutes. And then I have to add those 2 times together because the question says how many minutes did it take to bake both of them. So I'm going to say 1 hour and 45 minutes plus 1 hour and 10 minutes. Well, 2 hours, the hour plus the hour is 2 hours, and 45 minutes plus 10 minutes is 55 minutes. So altogether it took 2 hours and 55 minutes. Alright, let's look at number 2. A slide on the playground is 12.5 feet long. It is 3 feet 7 inches longer than the small slide. How long is the small slide? So we're going to have to figure out if it's that much longer, we're going to have to subtract that distance to figure out how much the short slide was because it's shorter. So I'm going to say 12.5 feet minus 3 feet and 7 inches. Well, 12.5 feet, what does that mean? We want that in feet and inches. Well, if a foot is 12 inches, then half a foot is going to be 6 inches. It's kind of what we did in the last lesson. We know that half of a foot is 6 inches. So 12 feet 6 inches is what we have for the first slide. And I'm going to say 12 feet 6 inches minus 3 feet and 7 inches to figure out the length of the smaller slide. When I do that, I don't have enough inches in the first term to subtract, so I'm going to have to do what we've done before. I'm going to split that 12 feet into 11 feet and 12 inches. And then I'm going to rewrite the whole thing, because I already had 6 inches to begin with, over here as 11 feet and 18 inches, because I have that 12 inches and then the 6 that I started with, and 12 plus 6 would give me 18. So I have 11 feet and 18 inches minus 3 feet and 7 inches. Okay, 11 feet minus 3 feet will give you 8 feet. And 18 inches minus 7 inches would give you 11 inches. So the smaller slide is 8 feet and 11 inches long. Alright, let's look at 3. It says the fish tank holds 8 gallons and 2 quarts of water. Jeffrey poured 1 3/4 gallons into the empty tank. How much more water does he still need to pour into the tank to fill it? So I'm going to draw the tank down here. Just to give you a visual, the whole thing holds 8 gallons and 2 quarts. He's already filled 1 3/4 gallons into the tank, so I'm going to draw that down here. And so we're looking for, I'm going to put a question mark in the empty space. We're looking for how much more it'll take to fill it up. So in order to find that, we would have to subtract the 2 numbers to find the missing piece. So I'm going to say 8 gallons and 2 quarts minus 1 3/4 gallons. Well, here we've got one with a fraction and one with 2 different units. And if we look at 1 3/4 gallons, we know 1/4 of a gallon is a quart. So really 1 3/4 gallons is the same as 1 gallon and 3 quarts, because each 1/4 of a gallon is equal to 1 quart. So I'm going to rewrite 1 3/4 gallons, or 3/4 of a gallon is the same as 3 quarts. So I'm going to rewrite 1 3/4 gallons as 1 gallon and 3 quarts. So we have 8 gallons and 2 quarts minus 1 gallon and 3 quarts. And we can't subtract it like it is. There's not enough quarts in the first term, so we're going to break up 8 gallons into 7 gallons and 4 quarts. But then we've got to add back those 2 quarts that we had. So our final subtraction problem is going to look like 7 gallons and 6 quarts, because we had 2 quarts to begin with, minus 1 gallon and 3 quarts. So 7 gallons minus 1 gallon is 6 gallons, and 6 quarts minus 3 quarts would give you 3 quarts. So altogether, we still need 6 gallons and 3 quarts to fill the fish tank. All right, let's look at number 4. Okay, number 4 says the candy shop put 10 ounces of gummy bears in each box. How many ounces do they need to fill? I'm sorry, how many boxes do they need to fill if there are 21 1/4 pounds of gummy bears? That's a lot of gummy bears, but first we've got to change the pounds to ounces because we're measuring the boxes in 10 ounces. So I'm going to say 21 1/4 pounds is equal to blank ounces. This is kind of like what we did on the last night's homework. Well, first we know that 16 ounces are in a pound. So I'm going to say 21 times 16 to figure out how many ounces are in those 21 pounds. I'm going to set up an area model over here to figure it out because it's a 2-digit times 2-digit. 10 times 20 is 200. 1 times 10 is 10. I'm sorry, 6 times 20 is 120, and 6 times 1 is 6. I'm going to add all those partial products together. And I'm going to get 336. So 21 pounds is 336 ounces. But then we have that 1/4 of a pound, which we're going to multiply by 16 to get 16/4, which is the same thing as 4 ounces. So we have 336 ounces plus that 4 ounces to get 340 ounces. But now that's not the final answer. It asked us how many 10 ounce boxes could we get. So we have 340 ounces to separate into 10 ounce boxes, which means we need to divide 340 by 10 because each box is going to have 10. Now instead of setting up stacked with this, you just need to think about it, because if it's a multiple of 10, it's really easy to figure out what times 10 will give you 340. Well, 34, because if you multiply by 10, you just have to add the 1 0. So that means 340 divided by 10 is 34, and that means there's 34 boxes of gummy bears that you could fill with that 21 1/4 pounds of gummy bears. 34 boxes of gummy bears. All right, let's look at 5A. Mom can make 10 brownies from a 12-ounce package. How many ounces of brownie mix does she need to make 50 brownies? Well, 50 brownies would be 5 times as much because 10 times 5 is 50. So if I wanted 50 brownies, I'm going to need 5 of those 12-ounce packages, because if I had 2, it would be 20, 30, 40, 50. So I need 5 12-ounce packages in order to make 50 brownies. So I'm going to say 50 brownies is equal to, I'm going to have to say 12 times 5 because that's 12-ounce packages times 5, which would be 5 packages of the mix. Or, since they're each 12 ounces, that would mean I need 60 ounces of brownie mix altogether. All right, and we are not going to do the extension because it requires something to do that we haven't learned yet, so we're just going to skip that part. If you guys have questions, let me know.